Hello, welcome back to Writing a Resume That Gets You the Interview. We're on challenge day 2, so let's just jump right in. First thing I want to talk about today is about format. Now, there are two parts of a resume, both format and content, and they are equal. Format is what really appeals to the human being side of being screened for a position. And so we're going to talk about that today and how important format is. So format, what does that include? What we're going to talk about today? The first one is sectionality. What does that even mean? It means that your resume needs to have specific sections that highlight your skill set and expertise. And they should be outlined in a specific order, which then turns into the readability measure. Now, readability, this is what makes people actually want to spend time reading a resume. And you've got 6 seconds, more if you are lucky, less if you're dealing with somebody who's very experienced in that area. Or they might spend more time if you've actually done a really good job of building the format out. And as we go through this, you'll get to also see how important it is to maximize content. But format, sectionality, and readability. And last, the biggest part of format that I see go wrong on resumes is around font. So we'll talk about that. So this, I want to walk you through what a traditional resume should look like. So here is page 1 of your resume. And if you're scrolling down with me, you can see your first line is the header. So this is that first box right here on the top. Your header, remember, that's your contact information. Now you see I have these lines in between the sections. These are lines of delineation. And remember, sectionality is what we're looking for. So that first section, that's your header. We've got a breakout line. The next thing is your summary. That's your executive summary, your professional summary. It is the phrase that is really truly what it is that you bring to the table. And it is the single greatest importance as far as readability. What will get read, that's the section. So your summary has to be on point. Now, right underneath your summary should be your skills, and your skills go under there. Again, that's that keyword match. We want to make sure those skills are highlighted. Then we add another line of delineation and we go right into experience. Now you see I've blocked out 2 different blocks here. What you want to do is make sure that those blocks hold your experience. So on this one, I'm estimating that usually the first 2 jobs, 1 to 2 jobs, fit on the first page. Now going to the second page, again, you want to have a header. And the reason is that your resume, if it ever gets separated, we want to make sure we know whose resume it goes to. And we continue with another line of delineation, but continue with the work experience. So I've included 2 sections again for work. Now remember, customize that to what it is appropriate for you, but it should have a substantial section. So that's what I really tried to show you, is that this should be a significant portion of your resume. Now you may not have that many jobs, or you may have more. Remember, limit it to 15 years, 15, 20 max, and make sure that you have substantial weight behind the positions. The other piece that you want to include is your education. Education is becoming more and more important today. We want to make sure it's easy for them to find. It is one of the key things that they will look at on your resume. And lastly, if you have room and to maximize your keyword match, add your tech skills in there. Add any professional certifications. That should go right at the end at the bottom. So let's talk about what readability looks like. So readability means that your resume should follow a natural flow. And there's a reason why I put my resume order in a specific way. And what it is it's based on an eye tracking heat map that was used in the study from the ladders, and it talked about where recruiters look at your resume, because if they're not looking at the right things, they're not going to pass you forward. So what is it that's most important? The first thing is they're going to look at your name, they're going to quickly look at that, and then they go straight down to that executive summary. That executive summary is the most likely to get read out of everything on your resume. Again, why it is so important. From there, they're going to go straight down to your experience. They're going to look at your company, your title, and the dates you're employed, and they're going to continue that flow. Next position, and typically that's on the second page. Continue to go through your experience, and then go right down to education. That's how natural eye tracking works. So we want to make sure that those sections are included, which is why, again, sectionality is broken out for you here so that you know what to include. Now font is the last piece, and font is where things can go seriously wrong for people. The one thing you need to know is that size matters. In this case, we want no smaller than 10-point size font. And the reason is that, again, readability, we want to make sure that to the audience that you're looking at can read the resume. In that same vein, we want a font that is sans serifs. So if you look at the font that I use here, I do not have one that has serifs in the course of the black font, and that is for ease of readability. When you add serifs, it makes it less crisp and less clean, and it's hard to read. We are going for the most ease in consumption for that recruiter. So remove serifs if at all possible. And the last thing is to limit it to 2 fonts. Now, why do I say that you might need 2 fonts? Sometimes the font that is bolded, you do want to use bold in your resume. That's what keeps some of the areas that, like specifically when you have titles on your sections, it's what makes them stand out. So do bold, but sometimes the bold isn't appropriate. So you can use serif fonts, but I would limit it to the sections that don't have a lot of font. So using them in headers of the sections. But don't go more than 2 because they can really challenge somebody to read your resume quickly and easily. I once saw a resume that had 5 different colors and legitimately 7 different fonts. It looked like it was written by a kindergartner, and we want to convey your expertise and the level of candidate that you are. And by creating a contemporary resume, by doing this process, you will elevate that status. The last one, no colors. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, stick with black and white. When you get to the point in-person interview, this is when you can be more creative. But at the time when you're competing against at least 150 other people, you want to be crisp, contemporary, and clean. That minimalist theme is going to help you. So stay away from colors unless they are absolutely neutral, like a gray or a navy. And that is it for challenge day 2. So I want you to go and implement, mark off what you're doing wrong, make notes on what you're going to fix, go and update the soft electronic version, and get ready for tomorrow's video for challenge day 3. I'll see you back here.